Chapter 11 Bet. You are listening at Novelful.audio. A woman, dressed to the nines but looking bloated and frankly kind of mean, was glaring at Qin Yu and his companion. Her eyes, though, were glued to him with an almost obsessive intensity, ever since they walked in, especially since that girl, the one who looked like a vixen, had caught her husband's eye. She'd been simmering. Seeing Qin Yu casually buying stuff was the last straw. Qin Yu just gave her a cold stare. Another jerk judging a book by its cover, he thought. Who let the dogs out? He shot back, not holding back. What did you say, punk? You asking for a beatdown? Beside the woman stood a sleazy-looking guy in a suit that was probably older than him, giving Qin Yu the stink eye. In Wang Ji's mind, it was fine for his wife to run her mouth, but nobody talked trash about her. It was a matter of principle, especially since he was supposedly a big shot. And besides, the kid was dressed like he shopped at Walmart. No way he could handle a guy like him. It was a shame a hottie like that was stuck with this loser, a rose wasted on a weed. You let these cheapskates in here. You worried they'll get the clothes dirty? It's bringing the whole place down, he whined to the older saleswoman. The saleswoman gave him a strained smile. Sorry, sir. Customers are customers. We can't just kick people out. Wang Ji just snorted, acting all put out. Qin Yu narrowed his eyes. Guys who brag about how rich they are usually the cheapest. You're just barking like a rabid dog. Pathetic. The woman actually chuckled. Cheap? Honey, I drop more than $1 million at this mall every year. I could buy a whole rack of those clothes you're eyeing without even thinking about it. Qin Yu just smirked, pointed at the clothes he'd picked out, and said to the young saleswoman, wrap it all up. I'll take it. Whoa. The saleswoman's jaw dropped. She'd seen him juggling a ton of clothes, but he was dressed like he was on a budget. And he wanted to buy all this designer stuff. There were at least 10 pieces, not even counting the stuff that girl was trying on. First time she'd seen a customer drop that kind of cash in one go, Wang Ji sneered. Yeah, right. You know those clothes are gonna set you back at least 30 grand, right? You sure you can swing that? Don't bite off more than you can chew. Just because you can't afford it doesn't mean I can't, Qin Yu said, his voice flat. My husband's a CEO, you hick. You think you're in the same league? Those clothes are nothing. He could buy out the whole store. Hey, how about this? Wang Ji said, a nasty grin spreading across his face. If you can pay for all this, I'll kiss your feet. But if you can't, you kiss mine. Deal? Wang Ji's eyes flickered to Tang Qin, a look of pure lust in his gaze. She was way hotter than his secretary with the fake assets. He'd make this kid look like a fool, impress the ladies with his money, and maybe that beauty would ditch the deadbeat and fall into his arms. Too bad the dragon lady was there today. Deal. Just don't cry when you lose, Qin Yu said, totally unfazed. The woman got a worried frown. Honey, what if he is loaded? You really gonna eat crow? Relax. He's bluffing. He'll back down any second now. Wang Ji was acting cool as a cucumber, totally convinced he had this in the bag. Okay, his wife sighed, perking up and getting her confidence back. Qin Yu cut the chatter and said to the saleswoman, how much do I owe you? One moment, please. The saleswoman scurried off to ring everything up. Okay, sir, including the ladies' clothes, it comes to $34,000. Since you're buying so much, you get a 10% discount, so that'll be $30,600 even. Great. I'll use my card. Qin Yu pulled out his card and handed it over. Approved. He actually paid for it. You gotta be kidding me, Wang Ji sputtered, his face turning blotchy. He was losing face fast, and it was costing him. Asterisk, how the heck did this nobody get his hands on that kind of cash? Asterisk, he thought furiously. You made the bet, remember? Qin Yu reminded him with a smirk. This ain't over. You just got lucky, Wang Ji grumbled, then turned to his wife. Let's go. Wang Ji was in damage control. He was ditching the bet entirely. No way was he apologizing in public. The woman saw that there was no upside to sticking around, but leaving with her tail between her legs was too embarrassing. She shot Qin Yu a dirty look and stomped out after her husband. Hey, hold on. What about your bet? You gonna skip out on that? Tang Qin spoke up. She was disgusted that someone could be so shameless. Bet? What bet? You hallucinating? The woman snapped, hands on her hips, going full denial mode. You. Tang Qin sputtered, but the woman was so aggressive, she didn't know how to respond. Hey, wait a minute. You look familiar. Didn't you say you ran a company over at Huajiang Plaza? Qin Yu wasn't surprised they were weaseling out. The bet was just to annoy them, then it hit him, he'd seen this guy before. That's why he looked familiar. Interesting. Yeah, so. Wang Ji said, suspicion in his eyes. Just saying, you made a bet. You gotta keep your word. Around here, we don't welch on deals. Yeah. And what are you gonna do about it? Wang Ji sneered, walking towards the door, trying to ignore the stares of the other shoppers. A smile tugged at Qin Yu's lips as he called out to the retreating figures, we'll meet again. And you'll regret this. Yeah, right, Wang Ji scoffed, disappearing through the doors. Seeing Wang Ji leave, the rubberneckers scattered. The saleswomen were suddenly extra polite. Sir, would you like us to send these clothes directly to your residence, or will you take them with you? Send them to the Jiangyun Hotel, please. Qin Yu told them his room number. Of course, sir. We'll send them right over. Learning that Qin Yu was staying in the presidential suite, the saleswoman's respect ratcheted up another notch. Chapter 12 Anger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After leaving Anima, I hit up a few more clothing stores. By the time I left the mall, I was lugging a bunch of bags filled with expensive clothes and some new shoes. As Qin Yu's personal butler, Tang Qin was naturally stuck with carrying them. Mr. Qin, hanging out with you tonight has been a real eye-opener. After spending half a day together, Tang Qin had a pretty good read on Qin Yu and knew he wasn't too uptight. So, he was a lot more relaxed now, even cracking a joke or two. Oh yeah? Tell me about it. It's the first time I've gotten a glimpse of how the other half lives. Blowing through 50 million in one shopping trip. Man, that makes you wonder how us regular folks, barely scraping by, are supposed to survive. You've got it wrong. Poor folks have their own joys, and rich folks have their own problems. So, what's bugging you, Mr. Qin? What's bugging me? Qin Yu pretended to think hard. Actually, my problem is the same as yours. I'm just too broke. All I've got left is money, and I don't know what to do with it all. Ha, Tang Qin couldn't help but laugh. Mr. Qin, you're killing me. If that's the case, nobody in this world would ever want for anything. That they joked around all the way back to Qin Yu's presidential suite. The clothes he'd bought earlier had already been delivered. Tang Qin thoughtfully organized everything and even had them washed. The next day, after polishing off the hotel breakfast, Qin Yu drove to Huajiang Plaza. It was around 9:30 in the morning, a Monday. Any other day, he'd be grinding away, but Qin Yu wasn't sweating being late. He took his sweet time driving. He'd already decided that today was the day he quit. Time to say goodbye to the daily grind. By the time he got to Huajiang Plaza, another hour had flown by. He parked in the underground garage and took the elevator up to the 21st floor of Building A. Room 2102, this was where Qin Yu worked, Qishang Advertising being the company name emblazoned behind the front desk. No sooner had he sat down at his desk than Lu Xiaotong, his co-worker from next door, sidled over and whispered. Qin Yu, what took you so long? The design team just wrapped up a meeting about that new game promo design plan we submitted to Zhouyuan Games last week. They finally picked one, and the manager was all over Zhou Jun. Zhou Jun? Zhang Daju's nephew. Qin Yu frowned. Keep it down. Lu Xiaotong hissed, glancing around nervously, afraid someone would overhear. You can't go calling the manager by that name around here. If he hears you, you'll be in deep trouble. Zhang Dazhu, the design department manager, was nicknamed that because of his round head, puffy face, short stature, and harsh treatment of his employees, always handing out fines and lecturing people. The employees liked to call him that behind his back. Qin Yu was unfazed. How could Zhou Jun come up with a decent design? What's going on? That when Lu Xiaotong heard Qin Yu bring it up, he sighed, sounding angry. Everyone knows that Lu Kersen designed that plan. They just slapped it with the manager's nephew's name. Lu Kersen even got into it with Zhang Dazhu and manager Zhang at the meeting this morning. She's just sitting there crying now. It's awful. Qin Yu didn't say a word, his face was grim. It wasn't just Lu Kersen, but other colleagues too. Some of Qin Yu's more important designs had been attributed to Zhou Jun. Qin Yu could have scored some serious commissions and bonuses, but ended up with some chump change. The basic salary of the employees in the design department is only a pitiful 2,000 yuan, and the main source of income is the monthly performance, which is allocated to the commission received by the employees in proportion to their performance. Zhou Jun relied on his uncle being the department manager. An unlearned and inexperienced guy has made a lot of noise in the company, and he is better off than those talented employees who are willing to work hard. Lu Kersen and Qin Yu were pretty tight at work, and they even lived in the same building. They were good friends. Qin Yu had eaten at Lu Kersen's place a bunch of times. Qin Yu, you better watch out. Because you were late, the manager called you out by name at the meeting. He's gonna be all over you when he sees you later, and they might dock your pay. Qin Yu smiled at Lu Xiaotong's warning, got up, and said. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna go see Lu Kersen first. Yeah, you're good with her. Try to cheer her up, so she doesn't dwell on it too much. Lu Xiaotong nodded. Lu Kersen was in the other office, working on images and text on her computer. Seeing Qin Yu approach, she said awkwardly, You heard about me, huh? I'm such a mess. Qin Yu could see her eyes were red, but she wasn't extremely sad, so he knew she'd been crying. He smiled and tried to reassure her. Don't worry about it. This isn't over. I'm gonna talk to the boss later. Lu Kersen looked touched and said, Thanks for your concern, but forget it. Don't bother. Something similar happened before, and some folks went to the boss to complain, but it didn't do any good. They ended up getting canned. Don't lose your job because of me. After all, the pay here isn't too bad. People are good-natured and get bullied, and some things can't be counted as such. Zhou Jun and Zhang Dazhu get on my nerves, and today is the day I teach them a lesson. Qin Yu narrowed his eyes, a plan forming in his mind. Hey, what's that you're saying? You dare call my uncle by his nickname? Don't you want to hang out here? That it was Zhou Jun, a tall, skinny guy with a triangular face, high cheekbones, and monkey-like cheeks, smirking at Qin Yu. What's up? You want to be a hero and stand up for her? I heard you showed up late today, and you're badmouthing my uncle. You're in for it now. Zhou Jun, you shameless scumbag. If you didn't have your uncle, you'd be nothing at this company. Lu Kersen spat out, her eyes blazing. Hee, so what? Let me lay it out for you. I stole your design plan, so what? You dare talk back to my uncle, or you're an asshole. You. Lu Kersen, quick-tempered as she was ready to throw down. Qin Yu grabbed Lu Kersen, who was about to strike, glancing at Zhou Jun, his eyes cold. Zhou Jun, you just admitted that the Jiuyuan Games plan wasn't your design, but Lu Kersen's. We all heard it. A female colleague who was close to Lu Kersen chimed in to back her up. Yeah, I heard it too. Don't try to weasel out of it. We'll tell the boss later. Lu Xiaotong rushed over when he heard the commotion. Chapter 13. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The shouting match drew everyone's attention in the office. Most people knew Zhou Jun had it coming. He had a bad reputation, and they were whispering and pointing at him. Zhou Jun, seeing things spiral out of control, panicked and angrily pointed at Lu Xiaotong. Lu Xiaotong, and Li Ping, I don't know what you're talking about. I never said any of that stuff. Lu Xiaotong scoffed. Oh, so everything you say is just hot air. You won't own up to it. Exactly. He's not talented enough to design, so he relies on his uncle to steal credit. He's got the guts to do it, but no guts to admit it. What a joke. Li Ping chimed in. What's going on here? What are you all doing? This is work time, don't you have jobs to do? That the audience scattered like startled pigeons, seeing the department manager, Li Ping and Lu Xiaotong exchanged glances and quietly backed away. Even though a lot of employees disliked Zhang Dasho, he was the manager, and they still felt a little intimidated. Even Lu Kersin, who had been ready to fight, froze and went silent. Qin Yu, of course it's you. What's wrong, are you trying to start something? As if being late wasn't bad enough, now this? Zhang Dasho saw the employees scattering, but Qin Yu stood his ground and looked him in the eye. He figured this kid was behind it all. He'd overheard the argument and knew it had something to do with the new game promo design. He saw a chance to make an example of this normally quiet employee to scare everyone else from talking behind his back. Uncle, you showed up just in time. This kid was bad-mouthing me and said you were a big pig. Don't let him off easy. Now that his uncle was here, Zhou Jun felt like he had back up and smugly pointed at Qin Yu. Zhang Dasho hated being called Zhang Dazhu more than anything. He'd made life miserable for people who used that name. Qin Yu, is that true? Did you call me Zhang Dazhu? Lu Kersin discreetly tugged at Qin Yu's sleeve, signaling for him to apologize and not make things worse. Ha! Qin Yu ignored her and laughed. What's wrong with calling you Zhang Dazhu? You already have the head and the brains of a pig. It's a fair description. That the people in the office who were eavesdropping were thrilled, admiring Qin Yu and sneaking glances his way. Lu Kersin's jaw dropped, she stared at Qin Yu like he was an alien. He was a completely different person today, no longer the quiet guy he used to be, but brimming with confidence. Okay, fine, Qin Yu. You want to play it that way? Zhang Dasho's face turned purple with rage. Listen up, Qin Yu, you can forget about your bonus this month, and next month too. You can kiss all future bonuses goodbye. Also, you stirred up trouble and insulted your boss, which is a violation of company policy. The situation is serious, and I'm going to report this to the big boss and see about getting you fired. Zhou Jun fanned the flames. Uncle, employees who don't respect their superiors should have been kicked out a long time ago. Fire me? I was just about to go to the boss and report how you've repeatedly bullied employees and stolen their credit. Want to go together? Qin Yu didn't seem worried at all. You're just a low-level employee, and I'm the department manager. Who do you think the boss is going to believe? Obviously, he'll trust the guy who brings in the most money. Zhang Dasho smiled cruelly. So, Qin Yu, you can't win. Manager Zhang, what's happening here? The big boss, Zhou Shanghua, showed up. He glanced at Qin Yu, then focused his attention on Zhang Dasho, signaling for an explanation. Manager Zhang instantly switched to a flattering smile and quickly summarized the situation. In his version, Qin Yu was an arrogant, incompetent slacker who expected high pay for doing nothing. Zhang claimed that Qin Yu had incited unrest, slandered co-workers, and insulted his superiors. In short, Zhang Dasho painted Qin Yu as a terrible employee guilty of serious crimes, who was damaging the company's work environment and breaking company rules. Zhou Shanghua frowned. If he hadn't already overheard part of the argument, he might have believed it. That's a load of BS. Lu Kersin spoke up angrily, unable to stay silent any longer. Boss, a lot of what Manager Zhang said is a lie. He's been stealing credit from employees, putting my hard-earned design plan under his nephew's name. He also constantly docks bonuses and pay. He should be the one in trouble. Lu Kersin, even you're turning against me? When did I ever steal credit? Show me the evidence. Zhang Dasho shot a nervous glance at the boss, then glared at Lu Kersin. Zhou Shanghua gave Zhang Dasho a cold look. He wasn't an idiot. He was the boss of an ad agency and knew about most of the conflicts within the company. what manager Zhang had said about favoring whoever brought in the most money was true. He wouldn't support an employee just because they'd been wronged by their boss. He cleared his throat, silencing everyone, and questioned, "Manager Zhang, your department is a mess, and your employees have a lot of complaints. How does that look for you? You're responsible for this. If you can't fix it, I'll have to find a new design department manager." "I'm sorry, boss. It's all my fault. This won't happen again." Manager Zhang wiped the sweat from his forehead and quickly promised. Zhou Shanghua glanced at Qin Yu again. "As for you, I don't care what problems you have with your supervisor, but what you did today has seriously harmed the company's work environment and interests. So, I'm sorry to say that you're not a good fit for our company, and you're fired." The office had been buzzing with tension, but now it was silent. You could hear a pin drop. No one had expected Qin Yu to get fired. The boss had dropped the hammer, and everyone was afraid it might come down on them next. Only Lu Kerson believed that she was responsible for this. She gritted her teeth and prepared to speak up for Qin Yu, but he waved her off. Zhang Dasho and Zhou Jun were thrilled. "Qin Yu, you're fired. Pack up your stuff and get out. You're not welcome here." Qin Yu ignored manager Zhang and looked straight at Zhou Shanghua. "Firing me is pointless. I came in to resign today. But it's your fault for letting the department manager run wild. I was going to give you a chance to fix things, but you blew it, so don't blame me for what comes next." Chapter 14 Meeting Wang Ji again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhou Shanghua's face darkened, but he remained silent, completely dismissing Qin Yu. Well, Qin Yu," Zhang Dasho sneered, "you're just a fired employee. What gives you the right to talk? Did getting canned drive you crazy? Threatening the boss? Get real. Truth is, you wanted to quit, not the other way around. Fine, we're docking all your salary and bonuses. Consider it done." Zhang Dasho knew Qin Yu was broke. Without a job or money, he'd be begging on the streets. He wouldn't last a week without crawling back. Qin Yu ignored him, a smile playing on his lips, but his eyes hardened. He went back to his desk, didn't even bother with a resignation letter, and just started packing his things. Manager Zhang sent someone to watch him and had Qin Yu's personnel file delivered. He didn't have much stuff, just the file and a few personal items. All easily fit in a small bag. Without a backward glance, Qin Yu left the company, leaving everyone wondering. As soon as he walked out of Qishang Advertising, Qin Yu called Jiang Sheng, the property manager of Nanjiang Plaza. The call connected. "Are you in the property management office now?" "Yes, boss, I'm here." "Good, I'll be there shortly." Knowing the property management office was on the 34th floor, Qin Yu headed for the elevators. Jiang Sheng had been about to offer to come down and meet him, but the line went dead. It dawned on him, the new boss was making an unannounced visit. Good thing he was prepared. Sitting across from him was a man in his 50s. Qin Yu would recognize him as the guy he'd made that bet with the night before at the anima store. This was Wang Ji, chairman of Joyuan Games, whose offices were on the 10th and 11th floors of Block C in Nanjiang Plaza. His company was pretty big. Wang Ji noticed Jiang Sheng's quick phone call and the respectful tone he used. He was curious but didn't pry. He was there to ask for a favor. Seeing Jiang Sheng hang up, Wang Ji coughed and smiled. "Mr. Jiang, I'm here to ask about the rent for next quarter. Could we delay payment a bit? I could pay for 2 quarters at the end of August. Would that be possible?" Jiang Sheng frowned. "Your payment history has been good, no complaints." "Okay, when our new boss gets here, I'll bring it up. Shouldn't be a problem." Wang Ji was shocked. Nanjiang Plaza had a new owner. He hadn't heard a thing. That's big news for all the tenants. If the new owner decided to raise the rent, someone like him, renting 2 floors, could be out tens of thousands every quarter. He grew uneasy. "I just heard about the new boss," he said with a forced smile. "I thought I'd take the opportunity to introduce myself. I'd appreciate it if you could put in a good word for me." Jiang Sheng nodded. "You're a valued tenant. I doubt the new boss will give you any trouble. He stood up. I should go greet the new boss, he's due any minute. Let me come with you, to show our company's respect. Wang Ji stood up and followed Jiang Sheng. As they walked out of the office, they saw Qin Yu coming through the entrance. Jiang Sheng had seen Qin Yu's photo. He looked younger, but Jiang Sheng knew instantly it was him. Surprised at how quickly he'd arrived, Jiang Sheng hurried over to Qin Yu, bowed, and said respectfully, "Welcome, Mr. Qin. You're Jiang Sheng, right? Just do a good job, you don't have to worry about all the formal greetings." Qin Yu smiled. Jiang Sheng was his top employee, and he had high hopes for him. He'd been doing a great job managing Nanjiang Plaza for over 2 years. Behind him, Wang Ji froze, his smile faltering. Impossible. The new boss is him. That he recognized Qin Yu, that nobody he dismissed the night before. Now, he was the new owner of Huajiang Plaza. Regret. Fear. If he'd known, he wouldn't have dared to cross him. This is Mr. Wang Ji, chairman of Zhouyuan Games. He's one of our tenants, Jiang Sheng said, leading Qin Yu toward the owner's office. Seeing Wang Ji standing there dumbfounded, he reluctantly introduced him. Qin Yu was amused to see the guy who'd refused to pay up. So you're Mr. Wang. Nice to meet you. Wang Ji didn't dare to act superior. This was the owner of Huajiang Plaza, worth over 40 billion. The rent collected each quarter was close to 100 million. They weren't even in the same league. Mr. Qin, hello. Wang Ji stammered, lost for words, on the verge of begging for forgiveness. Qin Yu waved him silent. Let's go to my office first. He continued walking. Jiang Sheng, a bit confused, said nothing and led the way. Qin Yu followed Jiang Sheng to the office, which was in the innermost room. It was huge. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view, almost half of Nanjiang City. The office was decorated with calligraphy and paintings, and there were wine cabinets and bar counters in the corners, stocked with expensive wines. Qin Yu nodded, satisfied. He sat down in the leather chair behind the solid wood desk. Jiang Sheng handed him a cup of coffee and some documents, and formally began his presentation. Mr. Qin, this is the ownership paperwork for Nanjiang Plaza. Your signature is needed here. This is the latest financial information and the income and expenditure report for last quarter. Please take a look. Qin Yu glanced at the documents and signed where indicated. Then, he closed the book. It's my first day. Give me an overview of Nanjiang Plaza. Jiang Sheng launched into an introduction. Nanjiang Plaza covers 1.5 million square meters, with 3 34-story buildings, A, B, and C, and 5 low-rise commercial buildings. There are 280 shops, including restaurants, movie theaters, and bank branches. The quarterly rent is around 120 million. The high-rise buildings also house office spaces, gyms, hotels, and so on, totaling about 21 square meters. The quarterly rent is about 96 million. Adding in management fees and parking revenue, total income for a quarter is around 1.1 million. Qin Yu listened calmly. Chapter 15 Admitting Mistakes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's just over $100,000 a quarter, peanuts to a guy sitting on nearly $15 billion and driving $1 million car. Mr. Qin, last quarter's total revenue was about $160,000. After expenses, that leaves us with about $125,000. I'll have finance wire it to your account now. Okay. Qin Yu nodded. The transfer notification arrived almost immediately. Jiang Sheng wiped his brow, finally able to breathe easy. He couldn't help but be amazed by Qin Yu's composure. 100 grand was clearly pocket change to this guy. He was definitely some trust fund kid. Qin Yu glanced at Wang Ji, who was practically glued to the wall, trying to be invisible. Wang Ji forced a sheepish grin, oozing obsequiousness. Mr. Qin, I sincerely apologize for last night. Please forgive my foolishness. He bowed deeply. It finally clicked for Jiang Sheng. Wang Ji had pissed off the new boss. No wonder he was acting like that. Jiang Sheng's gaze turned cold. He'd have to go the extra mile to get in the young master's good graces. Qin Yu tapped his fingers on the table, his eyes fixed on Wang Ji, who was still bowing. I doubt you've forgotten what happened last night. Do I need to refresh your memory? Wang Ji's heart sank. He knew exactly what Qin Yu meant, make good on his promise and grovel. He sighed. He had no choice but to swallow his pride, no point in delaying. He dropped to his knees and kowtowed 3 times, hard. This was worse than being fired. He cursed his wife under his breath. If she hadn't started the whole thing, he wouldn't be in this mess. Get up, Qin Yu finally said, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. Thank you, Mr. Qin. Thank you for your generosity. Wang Ji scrambled to his feet, his muscles stiff. Your rent is going up 10%. Any objections? Qin Yu asked. It was a rhetorical question. He could either agree or find a new office space. No objections at all. Completely reasonable. Wang Ji replied instantly. He knew better than to cross Qin Yu. He'd try to smooth things over any way he could. Even though his lease had 2 years left, he wasn't about to argue. He'd been on edge since he walked in, trying to figure out how to make amends. A 10% rent hike was a good way for both of them to save face. Still, the thought of handing over an extra 20 grand a quarter stung. The new game they were developing had been bleeding money, putting a serious strain on their finances. The upcoming advertising blitz would only make things worse. He'd been hoping to delay the rent payment to ease the cash flow. Taking a deep breath, Wang Ji decided to push his luck. Mr. Qin, we're facing some temporary cash flow issues. Could you possibly give us a break and let us pay this quarter's rent with next quarter's? Qin Yu paused, considering. Maybe. Thank you, Mr. Qin. Hold your thanks. I have one more condition. Wang Ji's stomach dropped. His forced smile faltered. And what condition is that, sir? If it's within my power, I'll do it. Your company also does business with Qishang Advertising, right? Qin Yu was pleased with Wang Ji's quick understanding, and a corner of his mouth turned up. You mean Qishang Advertising, which rents space in this building? Yes, they're handling the promotion for our new game, Wang Ji said, puzzled. Good. Then cut ties with them. Wang Ji was taken aback, wanting to ask why. But, after a moment, he thought better of it and said, okay. I'll call them now. He picked up his phone. Qin Yu turned to Jiangsheng. When does Qishang Advertising's lease expire? That it was clear to everyone that Qishang Advertising had somehow offended Qin Yu, and he was settling the score. Jiangsheng checked his records. Mr. Qin, their lease is up at the end of this month. They haven't signed a renewal yet. Then contact their boss and tell him we won't be renewing it. Yes, sir. Meanwhile, at Qishang Advertising, Zhou Shanghua was holding a company meeting to discuss recent performance and the progress of the advertising campaign they were designing for Zhouyuan Games. The employee they'd fired earlier was a distant memory. Suddenly, Lin Chong, the business development manager, got a call from Zhouyuan Game Company. He hung up, his face ashen. Boss, bad news. Zhouyuan Game just cancelled our contract. What? The office erupted in confusion. Did they say why they cancelled? Manager Zhang from their operations department said he received direct orders from the company's boss to terminate the agreement. So it's Wang Ji's call. Zhou Shanghua was even more confused. He and Wang Ji were on friendly terms. He pulled out his phone. I'll call him and find out what's going on. Qishang Advertising had poured considerable resources into Zhouyuan Games' new campaign. To have it yanked away right before signing the final agreement, before he could dial, his phone rang. It was Jiang Sheng, the general manager of Nanjiang Property. A heavy hitter. He answered immediately. Mr. Zhou, I regret to inform you that Nanjiang Plaza will not be renewing your lease next month. You'll need to vacate the premises by the end of this month. Zhou Shanghua jumped to his feet, reeling. The sudden change almost knocked him over. Moving out on such short notice would be catastrophic. Besides Zhouyuan Games, they had countless business connections tied to their location. Their address wasn't just a place to work, it was a status symbol. Plenty of people would kill to rent office space there. Relocating would disrupt their operations. Not to mention the hefty penalties for breaking the lease, the company's reputation and credibility would take a serious hit. The combined consequences were unbearable. The financial losses alone could run into the millions. His head was spinning. One disaster after another. Mr. Jiang, what's going on? Is there something we can do? If we've made a mistake, we'll fix it. If we have to move, the company will be ruined. Please, I'm begging you to reconsider. On the other end of the line, Jiang Xing put the call on speakerphone and looked at Qin Yu, deferring to his decision. Qin Yu sneered. Tell him to come here. And bring manager Zhang from their design department. Chapter 16 Dumbfounded. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Xing nodded and spoke into the phone. Our boss wants you to come up to the property office first. Bring manager Zhang from your design department with you. Okay. Zhou Shanghua replied quickly. He was starting to get it. He must have ticked off the new owner of Nanjiang Plaza somehow. But he knew the major shareholders here, and he hadn't crossed paths with any of them. How could he have messed up? The fact that they specifically wanted Zhang Dashou to come along made it even weirder. Despite his confusion, Zhou Shanghua wrapped up his meeting fast, told Zhang Dashou to come with him, and scrapped his plan to call Mr. 9 Yuan Game King. Losing Zhouyuan Game as a client was nothing compared to whatever was going on. Zhang Dashou trailed behind his boss. He knew from the abrupt end to the meeting that something was up with the company, and he couldn't figure out why he was involved. He stayed quiet until they saw Jiang Xing. Zhou Shanghua greeted Jiang Xing with exaggerated politeness, trying to fish for info about the owner of Nanjiang Plaza. But Jiang Xing cut him off and ushered them both into Qin Yu's office. Qin Yu. What are you doing? Why are you here? The words burst out of Zhang Dashou the second he saw Qin Yu, followed by a look of disbelief. Is this all your fault? Qin Yu was sitting in the most obvious seat, the one the chairman of Huajiang Plaza always occupied. Zhou Shanghua's jaw dropped when he saw Qin Yu behind the big desk. He flicked his gaze to Wang Ji standing nearby, afraid to say anything. His mind raced. It all came back to Qin Yu, the guy he'd just fired. What the heck was his real deal? How could this dude make Jiang Xing from Huajiang Plaza Property Management and Wang Ji from Zhouyuan Game Company practically kiss the ground he walked on? How could he bring Zhou Shanghua's company to its knees just like that? This is Mr. Qin. He recently acquired Nanjiang Plaza, so he's now the sole owner. Jiang Xing announced. The two men froze. Qin Yu, you own Huajiang Plaza? Zhang Dashou's eyes bugged out. He was freaking out inside. What the heck? Wasn't Qin Yu supposed to be a nobody? How could some low-level employee you could push around turn into the boss of this whole commercial district? If you'd said something, who would have dared to mess with you? Who would have dared to make your life hard? I would have treated you like royalty. Zhang Dashou's face crumpled. Zhou Shanghua was even more panicked. He'd sided with his people and burned Qin Yu something fierce. No wonder Zhouyuan Game was pulling their business and Jiang Xing wanted to kick them out. Writing this was going to be tough, he thought. Why was this guy so undercover? Fine, you want to experience life, but you had to pick my company? And I had to be the one to screw you over. That he cursed himself for being so short-sighted, only looking at immediate profits and playing favorites. He really blew it. Zhou Shanghua was starting to hate Zhang Dashou, too. He never imagined that his leniency would cost him so much. If Qin Yu could afford this commercial plaza, he probably had other businesses, maybe even some hidden clout. What chance did Zhou Shanghua have against that? He got down on his knees mentally and stammered, Qin Yu, I think there was a misunderstanding between us before. Please don't take it to heart. I was misled by some bad apples. I owe you a huge apology. I'm so sorry. An apology isn't going to cut it. Now that you know you messed up, you want to throw your people under the bus. Qin Yu said flatly. Zhou Shanghua looked mortified. Zhang Dazhou had gone from panic to ashamed in about 60 seconds. His face was gray. He knew he was toast. His boss was trying to pin the blame on him to appease Qin Yu. Either way, he was done at the company. Even if the company stayed, his boss would make his life a living hell. He'd wanted to grind it out for a few more years, and now he was sunk. He felt a wave of bitterness. Mr. Qin, I had no idea who you were, and I deeply regret offending you. Just name your price to let my company stay. Zhou Shanghua begged, seeing Qin Yu's silence. I've decided to fire Zhang Dazhou for playing favorites and acting inappropriately. His nephew, Zhou Jun, is out, too. He risked a glance at Qin Yu. And the rent goes up 30% next month. Qin Yu still didn't say anything. Zhou Shanghua was sweating bullets. Zhang Dazhou had already collapsed into his chair. It was over. He'd lost his manager title, and if he went anywhere else, he'd have to start at the bottom. Not everyone can handle going from a fancy life to a simple one. Zhang Ji and Jiang Xing realized that Qin Yu was using them as leverage in this conflict, and would definitely use any missteps against them. The office hung in silence. Finally, Qin Yu drawled, after Zhang Dazhou leaves, Lu Kersen will be the new manager of the design department. And 9 Yuan Games can resume its partnership with your company. Those words sounded like angels singing. Zhou Shanhua's heart soared. Okay, I'll follow Mr. Qin's instructions. Now, you can both get back to work. I won't show you out, Qin Yu said, dismissing them. Soon, only Qin Yu and Jiang Xing were left in the office. Huatian Plaza will still be under your management, and your salary will increase by 20%. All other property personnel will get the same raise. Okay, thank you, boss. I'll do my best to meet your expectations. Jiang Xing said gratefully. All right, you can go. Jiang Xing nodded and hurried out. Once he was outside, Jiang Xing sighed in relief, feeling incredibly happy. This change of ownership wasn't a bad thing at all. It was the opportunity of a lifetime. Now there was only one real boss. Jiang Xing would report directly to the big man himself. Plus, the new boss was clearly a generous guy, judging by the raises, and he had seen a lot in his time. You don't drop 40 billion on a commercial plaza when you're that young without being super savvy and well connected. This guy was going places, and Jiang Xing had a shot at going with him. Back in the office, Qin Yu's serious expression melted away, replaced by a gleam of excitement. This was the first time he'd felt the perks of power, and it felt surreal. He got up, went to the wine cabinet, grabbed a bottle of red wine, and poured himself a glass. Then he settled back into the boss's chair and took a slow sip. He pulled out his phone, looked at the bank notification of the recent 9 billion deposit, and checked his balance. He had 9.6 billion in the account, plus the 98.9 billion in the system. So much cash, even medium-sized corporations wouldn't be able to lay their hands on that much. That was Qin Yu's confidence. Chapter 17. You are listening at novelfull.audio. All this happened because he had linked the exclusive sign-in system. After just 2 sign-ins, he possessed unimaginable wealth. Thinking about today's system sign-in, he felt a surge of anticipation and opened the system panel. Host, Qin Yu, age, 25. Constitution, 50, normal, mental power, 50, normal, skill, none. Check-in progress, 370 million, level, dash, check-in unlocked, task, none. Check-in points, 2. Balance, 98.9 billion. Backpack, X1. So, it takes spending 100 million to reach a first-level check-in. Even though I've spent 370 million, my current check-in is still considered first level. Looks like I need to drop a cool billion to sign in again. Qin Yu thought, dismissing the system panel. He fought the urge to sign in immediately, pondering where he could blow enough cash to hit that $1 billion mark. If he wanted to avoid going out, the fastest and most convenient way was to an idea sparked, and he tapped the Doulang app icon on his phone. In his downtime, Qin Yu enjoyed watching Doulang videos and frequently tuned into the live streams of his favorite creators. Back when he was broke, he rarely spent any money on gifts, but now, he went straight to the recharge page and topped up his account with 700 million. Noticing 2 of his followed streamers were live, he clicked into one called Xiao Yanzi. This streamer was none other than Li Yan, Qin Yu's college classmate. She'd started streaming in April of the previous year. Shortly after she began, Qin Yu stumbled upon her and followed her. Qin Yu recognized his old classmate, but Li Yan had no idea he was even watching. They weren't close in college and barely interacted, just casual classmates. Qin Yu was essentially one of her earliest fans. Starting with a mere 20-something followers, she'd been streaming for almost a year, and her fan count had finally cracked 10,000. With around 300 viewers online, she had more than a dozen people in the live broadcast room. For a singing streamer, that was still small time. The main reason was that she'd never joined a streaming agency and had no professional support. Without that backing and all the operational services that come with it, her visibility was limited, and her follower count remained stagnant. Her singing was decent, and her looks weren't bad either, but she wasn't exactly drop-dead gorgeous and didn't put on airs during her streams, making it harder to attract the big spenders who toss out expensive gifts. After all, some guys just wanted to listen to music and weren't interested in flirting with the talent. As soon as Qin Yu entered the stream, he saw Li Yan had just finished a song, and a flurry of gifts began to pop up, mostly small stuff, though. A few dollars worth of hearts, and maybe a $50 firework at best. Despite the modest gifts, Little Swallow thanked everyone individually. As a small streamer, any gift was a big deal. Qin Yu figured Su Li's breakup from yesterday was still bugging him, so he typed out a request for the song Don't Miss Her in the public chat, adding, "My girlfriend dumped me yesterday, could you play this song?" "Thanks." Thought he wasn't holding his breath that Li Yan would actually play it. Sure, she was his old classmate, but he'd never put any money into this account, let alone drop any gifts, only the freebies. Other than checking in on a former classmate, he was purely there for the music. Usually, streamers wouldn't acknowledge a request from a small-time fan like that. Someone named A Little Salted Fish requested Don't Miss Her because his girlfriend just dumped him. "I'll play that now, and I hope you don't feel too down, Little Salted Fish." The pleasant singing began again. "Just let her go. Don't dwell on her. There are plenty of people in this world who love you. Just let her go. Don't sweat her. Is she really worth your concern?" After the song, a few more gifts trickled in. "Thanks for the gift, Lufiu." "Thank you, Idwa." "Appreciate the love, little sis." Qin Yu felt a pang of emotion, and a little ache in his heart eased with the song. Then, he decided to throw Little Swallow some love. He went straight for the Jia Lianhua, the most expensive gift he could buy at his current level. Little Swallow was thanking her gift-giving fans, her eyes a little tired after 3 hours of singing, the most exhausting kind of streaming. She was thinking of wrapping up soon. She usually streamed at night because she had a day job. Today was a holiday, so she started early, and the hundreds of gifts she'd received in a few hours were more than enough to satisfy her. Some fans had even messaged her privately, offering to shower her with gifts if she'd meet up with them, but she turned them down. She wanted to make more money, sure, but she found that kind of transaction repulsive. Suddenly, the chat was blinded by a stunning visual effect. She recognized the weirdly familiar graphics. She'd seen them in other streams. It was the special effect for a Jia Lianhua, a gift that had never appeared in her stream before. A gift like that cost more than 3,000 yuan, which was more than she earned in a week. She saw that the person buying the gift was the same fan who'd requested the song, A Little Salted Fish. Before she could thank him, a second Jia Lianhua popped up, then a third, a fourth. The dazzling special effects of the Jia Lianhua kept appearing in the chat. Stunning Li Yan, the first message read, A Little Salted Fish gifts Xiao Yanzi a Jia Lianhua. Then it repeated over and over, the count rapidly increasing, x10. x20. x100. A Little Salted Fish gifts Xiao Yanzi 100 Jia Lianhuas. That he finally sent 100 carnivals. This kind of generosity, reaching 100 Jia Lianhuas, not only exploded the stream but also blasted the news across the entire Doulang platform. Immediately, the stream was flooded with new viewers. The number of people jumped from 100 to over 2,000 at once and was still rising. Li Yan was beyond thrilled and thanked him profusely. Thank you for the gift, a little salted fish. Thanks, big spender, thank you, my dude, okay, that the audience in the stream also reacted, and a flurry of hilarious and sarcastic comments filled the chat. Holy crap, we caught a real whale. Everyone, bow down. Huh, a big shot finally showed up. 100 carnivals in one go, that's, like, 30 grand gone in a flash. Salted fish is the man, but the Jia Lianhua onslaught didn't stop there. A little salted fish gifts Xiao Yanzi 200 Jia Lianhuas, x 300. X 400. X 600. X 1000. 1000 Jia Lianhuas not only blew up the stream but also this amount of valuable gifts which were also blasted across the entire Doulang platform for 5 minutes. In just 5 minutes, her direct followers multiplied exponentially, from 10,000 to 100,000 in an instant, and the number kept climbing. The gift-giving spree didn't stop at 1,000. It was still going, x 1100. X 1500. X 1666. A little salted fish gifts Xiao Yanzi 1666 Jia Lianhuas. In the end, Qin Yu sent 1666 Jia Lianhuas before finally stopping. His fingers were sore and numb. He never thought spending money could be so tiring. Thankfully, he could order 10 gifts at a time. Otherwise, sending 1666 gifts individually would have been impossible. It'd have been too exhausting. Chapter 18 Sign in. You are listening at Novelfold.audio. Right then, the number of people in the live stream exploded to over 20. What kind of channel is this? Look at these whales. Salty Fish is a total baller. Salty Fish needs a sidekick. I'm throwing my hat in the ring. Oh, Salty Fish, grant me a wish. Salty Fish, I just followed you. Next time this happens, give me a heads up so I can pull up a chair. Li Yan was floored. 1666 Galaxias. She almost passed out from happiness. I mean, come on. Converted to cash, that's close to 500 million. Half of that, nearly 250 million, is hers. This wasn't some pipe dream. Thanks to this windfall, she was officially loaded. She also figured she lucked out. This whale dropping so much cash probably had something to do with her singing Don't Miss Her. Salty Fish requested it. She kinda remembered him. He'd been following her for a while, but he'd never tossed any cash her way. She saw the request and didn't ice him just 'cause he hadn't been paying. She still sang the song. That was her good karma kicking in. Salty Fish, thank you a million times. I don't know how to repay you. What song do you want to hear? I'll sing another one. Li Yan paused, then just asked it straight out in the stream. Yeah, she's got nothing to give back except her body. I bet Salty Fish wouldn't mind. Salty Fish is mine, back off. I'm the only one offering myself up. Hey, if Salty Fish was some geezer, would you still be down? I got proof Salty Fish is still young. He requested a song 'cause his girl dumped him. That's why he wanted to hear it, one of her regulars said. No way. What kinda woman dumps Salty Fish? Maybe she didn't know he was loaded. She's gonna regret that hardcore. Chat went wild with different takes. Qin Yu chimed in, answering what the streamer had just said. Sing whatever. You don't need to thank me. I've been listening to you for ages and never sent anything. Let's make up for lost time. Qin Yu's Doulang account was at level 50, still number 1 in the channel. When that VIP level popped up on the public screen, everyone took notice. Yo, Salty Fish is talkin'. Everyone gather round. Salty Fish, I'm a singer too. Come check out my channel sometime. Salty Fish doesn't want to hear music. What other tricks you got? Let's see. Looking at the chat, Qin Yu seemed a bit bored. He didn't say anything else and left the stream. He had a bunch of unread DMs, one from Little Swallow. Hey. I'm Xiao Yanzi. Thanks for the gift. Add me on WeChat. Here's my ID. Qin Yu clicked on Xiaoyanzi's DM and, seeing her WeChat ID, added her. Ding. Li Yan is now your friend. You can chat now. Hey. Qin Yu sent a quick message. Li Yan, still buzzing from the stream, replied right away. Hi. Thanks so much. I'm Little Swallow, but Li Yan is my real name. Are you Qin Yu? Li Ziki noticed Qin Yu's WeChat name. It sounded familiar, but she didn't think much of it. Dropping 500 million in gifts, anyone could figure out he was rich. She wouldn't know someone like that. The name must just be a coincidence. Yep. That's me. Thank you for the support, Qin Yu. If you have any songs you want to hear, I can sing them for you when I'm free. Li Yan was texting Qin Yu while still streaming. Sounds good. I just like listening to you sing. They chatted for a bit, then Qin Yu dipped out of WeChat. Because the channel blew up, Li Yan had to sing a few to reel in some new fans. Qin Yu went back to Doulang and saw the DMs were piling up. Mostly female streamers trying to get his WeChat. After reading a few with the same gist, he didn't bother anymore. On the other hand, his followers shot up from 30 plus to 700 to 800 and were still climbing. Putting down his phone and reopening the system panel, the check-in progress bar went from 370 million to 879.9 million. He still needed 130 million to hit a billion. He thought for a moment, picked up the phone again, opened another streamer he followed, and went to her channel. The streamer's name was Nanjiang Walking Yuyi, an outdoor live streamer. Yuyi was her real name. She mostly streamed from Nanjiang City, finding hidden gems and historical spots, sometimes interviewing people about random stuff. She had over 4,000 viewers. She was pretty well known. Small Salty Fish joined the channel. When Qin Yu entered, a message popped up. Whoa! Level 50 just walked in. It's Salty Fish. Sup, Salty Fish. Salty Fish is here. Alert the streamer. That the chat went wild, with messages flying everywhere. Yuyi was breaking down some food when she saw the flashing messages. She was confused and squinted to see. Whoa! She couldn't help but gasp, covering her mouth, surprised Salty Fish was in her stream. Welcome, Salty Fish. Yuyi was super stoked. She knew some small-time streamer had just pulled in almost 500 million in gifts, and it was from Salty Fish, 500 million. And that streamer didn't have a guild, so the gift draw was almost 250 million. It looked like he was handing out a lot in each stream. Actually, the biggest cash dumps usually came from guilds, just to pump up the channel and get some lemmings donating. She wouldn't get any commission from guild donations. Even with gifts from real fans, the cut was pretty small. As she was about to try and keep the big guy in her channel, a series of effects flashed, blinding her. Small Salty Fish gifted a galaxy to Nanjiang Walking Yuyi. Small Salty Fish gifted 2 galaxias to Nanjiang Walking Yuyi. X10. X20. X45. Finally, Small Salty Fish gifted 45 galaxias to Nanjiang Walking Yuyi. Seeing the series of galaxias, Yuyi was ecstatic. Her heart jumped every time a gift popped up. It took 45 galaxias before it stopped, but it didn't show up on the public Doulang screen, cause it wasn't over 100. Yuyi was happy with the result. She just realized she hadn't thanked him for the gifts because she was too excited. But as she was about to say something, Qin Yu left the channel. After Qin Yu left, he immediately pulled up the system panel. Host, Qin Yu, age, 25. Physical, 50, normal, mental, 50, normal, skills, none. Check-in progress, 1005 million, level 2 check-in unlocked, task, none. Check-in points, 2. Balance, 98.9 billion. Backpack, x1. Seeing he hit level 2, Qin Yu told the system. System, check-in. Chapter 19 Crash. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright, here we go, *ding, star. Congrats. You've successfully signed in and received $5 million. The funds have been deposited into your account. $5 million. Qin Yu felt a twinge of disappointment. Compared to the last couple of sign-ins, this was chump change. He figured he'd have to spend over $1 million next time, maybe even 10, to get a decent bonus. He made a mental note. His phone buzzed. It was Lu Kursin. The news she had was exactly what Qin Yu expected. Zhang Dasho had gotten canned, and Zhou Jun was right behind him, out the door. Apparently, Zhou Jun had even gotten down on his knees, begging the boss to keep his job. They had to drag him out, bawling like a baby. Talk about embarrassing, and satisfying. All the aggravation Lu Kursin had felt that morning just evaporated. Her spirits lifted, and her voice bubbled with its usual energy, the real kicker. She was stepping into Zhang Dasho's shoes as the new design department manager. She could barely contain her excitement. She even asked if Qin Yu wanted to come back to the company. She'd put in a good word with the boss. Qin Yu chuckled to himself. If he went back, Zhou Shanghua would probably have a heart attack. He politely declined Lu Kursin's offer. She then blurted out that she was celebrating tonight and wanted to cook him dinner at her place. Before Qin Yu could even respond, she claimed she had something urgent and hung up. Qin Yu sighed, amused. He'd been perfectly happy chilling at the hotel. But now, the girl had guilt-tripped him before he could even say no. Guess he was going back. Lu Kursin's cooking was pretty good. Hanging up, he felt a weight lift. While working at Qishang Advertising, the manager frequently made his life miserable. Today's events erased that bad blood, even though he'd orchestrated it all. Nothing to do now. Back to the hotel for a bit, then to the apartment later. Qin Yu figured hanging around the office was just a waste of time. He got up, gathered his stuff, and left. He took the elevator down to the parking garage on the first floor, hopped in his car, and headed out of Huajiang Plaza. He was back at the Jiangyun Hotel in no time. Knowing he'd be heading back to the apartment later, he decided against parking in the hotel's underground garage. A temporary spot would be more convenient. He pulled into one of the temporary spaces in front of the hotel, the same one as last night. In fact, just as he was about to park, screech, tires squealing, a bright green Lamborghini roared up and swerved aggressively toward the same spot. The sports car acted like Qin Yu's car was invisible, showing no signs of backing down. The front end came right at him. Here we go again. Qin Yu was starting to get annoyed. This was the second time someone had tried to steal his parking space. Did he look like a pushover? Even a saint has his limits, and Qin Yu was definitely not hurting for cash. His temper flared. He didn't even tap the brakes, keeping his course into the parking space, maybe even a little faster now. Crash, starred at a loud crunch echoed as the Lamborghini spun around, bouncing back a couple of yards. Half the front was a mangled mess, the bumper and right headlight completely demolished. The Angel Chiaing Qin Yu was driving barely shuddered. The rear of the car shifted a bit, not even enough to affect the tires. Looks like the body needs some work. Gonna be out of commission for a few days. Qin Yu climbed out, took a quick look, and made his assessment. The commotion quickly drew a crowd. Hotel guests coming to check in or grab a bite, security guards, passers-by, everyone came running, ready for the show. Holy crap. That's the new Lamborghini Godox T700. This thing is worth over 80 million. It's wrecked. That's brutal. I've never seen a luxury car like that, worth 80 million bucks, get totaled. Repairs are gonna cost a fortune. Whoa, this is major news. Gotta shoot a quick video for my Do Lang. It'll get 1 million likes for sure. What kind of car is the other one? Never seen it before. Looks kinda cool. Some new domestic brand, maybe. Whatever it is, the whole car probably doesn't cost as much as the Lamborghini's repair bill. Feel bad for the owner of that one. That everyone was having a field day. A few even whipped out their phones to live stream the scene. The scissor doors of the Lamborghini swung open, and a woman in her 30s, caked in makeup, emerged. She rubbed her still aching arm. Seeing her Lamborghini with its face smashed in made her wince. Then, she glared at Qin Yu's car. Finally, she exploded. Are you blind? You hit my car. You think you can afford this? Lady, I was here first. You slammed into me. You're the one who's gonna be paying up, Qin Yu retorted, not holding back. This old bat was ruining his good mood. Lady? You calling me a lady? The woman's face turned even redder. Just being polite, Qin Yu shrugged. Alright, I'm not arguing about that right now. She pointed at the mangled Lamborghini. Listen up. I paid over 80 million for this car. You're gonna pay for it, 80 million, huh? Qin Yu snorted. If this idiot only knew what his car was worth, she'd realize that her so-called $80 million ride was nothing compared to it. She'd be too embarrassed to even bring it up. It's just a beat-up car. What's so special about it? Beat-up car? You're calling my car a beat-up car? The woman laughed, practically choking on her own fury. She'd never met anyone who'd call an $80 million Lamborghini beat-up. This guy was clueless and bold, she sneered. So, you think my $80 million car is beat up? What kind of car do you drive? Is it even worth one of my wheels? Her words triggered a wave of chuckles from the crowd. They thought Qin Yu had definitely crossed a line. Ha! Qin Yu didn't respond, just smirked. What's wrong? Cat got your tongue. Feeling guilty? Let me tell you something. You wrecked my car, you pay. You're not going anywhere until you do. The woman folded her arms, giving her best don't mess with me face. I'm amazed you even have a driver's license, Qin Yu said dismissively. He wasn't about to get into a shouting match with her. He pulled out his phone and called the police to report the accident. He was backing into the spot first. The woman plowed in as soon as she arrived. At best, he'd be partially at fault, but she'd definitely bear the brunt of the blame. Plus, the hotel had security cameras. The cops could review the footage. Seeing Qin Yu call the police made the woman nervous. She wasn't some clueless bimbo behind the wheel. She knew the accident didn't look good for her. She was just hoping to scare him into paying up, thinking her car was so expensive that he'd automatically be held responsible. Ever since she'd bought the Lamborghini, she'd been throwing her weight around on the road. Everyone else always backed down. She grabbed her phone and made a call to Ma Yichuan, the general manager of the Jiangyun Hotel. Turns out, she was his younger sister, Ma Wenxiu. Chapter 20 Agreement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. She just finalized her divorce last month and came straight to Nanjiang City from Shanghai today. Her brother is the general manager at the Jiangyun Hotel, so she's staying there. Ma Yichuan was in his office at the Jiangyun Hotel when he got a call from Ma Wenxiu, which wasn't a surprise since he'd arranged her room. His smile faded as he listened. When Ma Wenxiu finished, he reassured her, I'll take care of this. Don't worry, it'll be fine. After hanging up, Ma Yichuan called Zhang Zhong, the head of security, and told him to pull the security footage from the hotel entrance showing the accident and send it over. Zhang Zhong, not wanting to mess with his boss, quickly agreed. Soon, a video arrived on his phone. After watching it, Ma Yichuan sighed inwardly. Looked like his sister, Ma Wenxiu, was mostly at fault. But the kid was dressed pretty plain, so he probably wasn't anyone important. This shouldn't be too difficult. He'd been general manager of this hotel for years. He'd seen his fair share of VIPs and made plenty of connections. He could spot trouble from a mile away. If his sister had ticked off someone he couldn't afford to cross, he'd have her apologize. No questions asked, but if it was just some nobody, things were a lot easier. The only thing bugging him was that black SUV. It looked familiar. After giving Zhang Zhong some instructions over the phone, Ma Yichuan left his office, buoyed by the phone call. Ma Wenxiu's attitude was even cockier. Just you wait, kid. You're gonna pay up. Qin Yu ignored her. He'd already reported it to the DMV. The cops would handle it. No point wasting his breath. The road police arrived quickly. After examining the scene, the tire marks, the car positions, and the damage, it looked like both cars had been backing out of their parking spots at the same time, making it impossible to say who was responsible. They asked to see the hotel security footage, but the security guard claimed the cameras at the entrance had been on the fritz for the past few days and weren't working. Qin Yu glanced at the security guard, suspicious, but didn't push it. in the end, the cops ruled that both parties were equally responsible. Qin Yu wasn't thrilled, but he wasn't going to sweat it. Worst case, he'd just pay for his own car repairs. He grabbed the accident report, planning to head back to the shop and maybe start looking at buying another car. He needed to spend over $1 million anyway, might as well. Hey, you think you're just gonna drive off without paying for my car? Ma Wenxiu saw Qin Yu heading for his car and rushed to stop him. Qin Yu, about to get in, turned around, annoyed. We're both equally responsible. I fix my car, you fix yours. What else is there? Nope. Ma Wenxiu shot back. You're paying for mine. And I'm not paying a dime for yours. Qin Yu looked at the road cop, waiting for him to chime in. The officer cleared his throat, looking helpless. Since you're both 50-50, it's responsible, it's best if you work it out yourselves. But if you can't agree, legally, both of you are responsible for half of the total damages. Meaning, you each pay half of the total repair costs for both vehicles. Absolutely not, Ma Wenxiu cut him off. My car is worth way more. He should cover all the damages to my car. That's the only way it's fair. In her mind, the damage to Qin Yu's car was negligible. It wasn't a serious crash, and his car probably wasn't worth much anyway. So the repairs wouldn't be that bad, but her Lamborghini? The repairs would cost a fortune. If they followed the cop's suggestion, she'd have to pay half. That was unacceptable. She hadn't had the car long, and her insurance was just the basic, mandatory kind. It wouldn't cover much. Qin Yu chuckled, stunned. He'd never met anyone so unreasonable. The cop had laid out the law, and she was still trying to rip him off, but then again, his custom Angel Qin cost a cool $1 million. The repairs wouldn't be cheap either. If she insisted on paying for everything, he might actually come out ahead. Fine. Whatever you want. But we need to sign a contract so nobody backs out later. The onlookers started muttering. That guy's an idiot. The cop told him how it works, and he just agreed to whatever the lady wants. Yeah, that's a Lamborghini. A supercar worth at least 800 grand. Even a scratch costs hundreds of dollars to fix. And she got hit pretty hard. It'll be tens of thousands to repair. Exactly. And his car isn't worth much. If he goes along with her plan, he's gonna be broke. Even if he has insurance, they'll only pay half of her half, since he's only 50% responsible. He's gonna have to cough up a ton of cash. Someone who knew about insurance chimed in, ignoring the comments. Qin Yu smiled at Ma Wenxiu, waiting for her to answer. Alright, you said it. Let's get that contract written up now. Ma Wenxiu thought she'd won the lottery. The road cop wrote up the agreement, stating that each party would pay the other's repair costs. They both signed it and took a copy. The accident was officially handled. Now they just had to wait for the damage estimates and pay up. The road cop didn't understand Qin Yu's plan, but both parties had agreed, and he was happy to be done with it. He signed the triplicate agreement and left. Qin Yu called Lu Xing, the manager at DUM Motors, and asked him to send someone to assess the damage. They should be there soon. Ma Wenxiu called the nearest Lamborghini dealership in Nanjiang City and asked for a tow truck and repair crew. Brother, you're here. Ma Wenxiu spotted Ma Yichuan coming out of the hotel and squealed with delight. Smiling, Ma Yichuan pointed to the man behind him and introduced him. This is Li Heng, the hotel lobby manager. This is my sister, Ma Wenxiu. Li Heng quickly extended his hand, smiling. Hi, Miss Ma. Welcome. I heard you were coming and made sure your room was ready early this morning. Ma Wenxiu smiled and shook his hand. You're too kind, Manager Li. But the hotel environment is a little rough around the edges, isn't it? She glanced at Qin Yu, making her meaning clear. Li Heng smiled awkwardly. He'd seen the two damaged cars and understood that the general manager's sister had run into trouble. If he wasn't mistaken, the Lamborghini belonged to her, just like the general manager's sister to be able to afford an $800,000 sports car. It was a shame that it happened at the hotel. He was bound to get roped into it. And this one is. Li Heng glanced at the other car, and the black SUV looked familiar. His heart skipped a beat.